All right, so this is a short video for my Algebra 2 to sort of go over and explain some of the things we've been talking about with function or not a function, domain, and range. So it starts with, if I have a graph, okay? A graph can represent something that is happening in time. Like let's say this is the amount of money I have in the bank, okay? I could, maybe in 2020, I start with 0 money and I get more and more money. So in 2022, I have $1,000 and I end up, let's say I end up by whatever year this is, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. By 2028, I have $4,000 in my bank account. So all of these points on the graph, you know, we can give them labels like 2, 3, 4, 5, here's 2025. And it means that in the year 2025, I had, it looks like 1, 2 and a half, so $2,500 in the bank. So this graph is showing that in the year 2025, I have $2,000 in the bank, so I can represent that with a point. This is the x-axis, this is the y-axis, so this point is x, y. All right, so this shows that I started with no money and my amount of money gradually went up until the year 2028 and I had $4,000. The graph could look different. I could start with no money and then I could make some money, make up to $4,000, and then maybe I start losing money and then I lose all my money. So by the whatever year this is, 2028, I have 0 money again. So these are different things that could happen to my money. So one of the things that we're going to talk about, though, is what could not, if I had a graph, could I have a graph of my money that goes like this? Could this represent something that's actually happening to my money? And the answer is no, it could not. And one of the students in class said this very well, because if you were following this graph, you would be making more and more money, and then you start dropping money. But what's happening in here is you're going backward in time, right? Because this is the year, let's say this is 2025 right here, and this is 2024. Like, what's going on? How am I going from 2025 to 2024? I can't go backwards in time. So this graph cannot happen. There's something wrong with it. All right, and so what we say is that this graph is not a function. This graph is fine, so we call it a function. This graph is fine, so we can call it a function. Because these ones represent things that could really happen with my money, but this doesn't. This can't happen. All right? So one way that we can say that is with something called the vertical line test. So that means like this. If anywhere on the graph I can draw a vertical line, and that line hits the graph in more than one place, then we say that this does not pass the vertical line test. Does not pass the vertical line test. So anything that does not pass the vertical line test is not a function. All right? These ones, anywhere I draw a vertical line can only hit the graph one time. So we say it passes the vertical line test, and so it is a function. All right, this one passes the vertical line test. Anywhere I put a vertical line, it can only hit one time, so it passes the vertical line test. So it is a function. So that's the first thing. Is it a function or is it not a function? So we can look at graphs that aren't continuous curves, but are just points. So let's say I just look at a thermometer, and let's just say it's just in my room. It gets warm. Well, no, maybe this is outside because it gets pretty cold out. All right. And let's say I look at the thermometer, and after 1 hour, I record that it's 10 degrees. And after 2 hours, I record that it's 30 degrees. And after 3 hours, it drops to 25 degrees. And after 4 hours, it's up to 40 degrees. And after 5 hours, it goes to 45 degrees. All right. So is that something that could happen? Sure. This is how I could measure the temperature. All right. But suppose somebody shows me a graph of the temperature and they say, oh, I made a graph of the temperature. Every hour I read the thermometer and this is what I got. Okay, so there's something wrong with this graph. What's wrong with it? Well, at 2 o'clock, at 2 hours, is the temperature 40 degrees or is the temperature 10 degrees? It can't be both. So this cannot represent the temperature. There's something wrong with it. So we can say the same thing we said before. This graph fails vertical line test, and therefore it is not a function. This one, anywhere I put a vertical line, there's only one measurement. I'm a little bit off, but you'll forgive me. Okay, there's only one measurement at each time. So that means that this is a function. It is a function because it passes the vertical line test. Okay, so we'll say more about graphs like this in the next video that I'm going to do that will tell you more about domain and range and the x's and y's.